And I want to introduce Paola Melchiori from Italy, who's going to speak now from Destiny to Choices. Aren't you coming up to speak now?
I will take you to the present, I am afraid. Let me tell you something about myself. I left the academy very early because it was the 70s and the enthusiasm of the 70s for the knowledge that came through the horizontal experience of telling each other our own life stories and trying to build a different theory, re-putting together our minds, our bodies, all that wild knowledge that somehow was buried in our early experiences or in our bodies. And somehow I have, when the time went a little bit down and I went back to academia, I couldn't stand the level of the distance from real life. So I went back to the popular spaces of education that we had been opening in the 70s, and we opened a free women's university where all kinds of people, women, could come, and where we tried to continue this tradition of conscious raising or of questioning our own experiences in life in comparison to our own disciplinary formation. And I have to say that in these times, I miss very much this style of interacting and because somehow we are the embodiment of the possible mediation between this matriarchal past that is inspiring us and that we have been discovering, and the patriarchal setting where we live in. So yesterday evening, my perspective for this, how much time do we have? 15, 10? 20 minutes, okay.
Is 16, 18 minutes.
Okay.
18 minutes.
So yesterday when ID was talking, I was thinking, how we go there, or what can we use today of this utopia or of this history that is behind our shoulders and that is inspiring us as much as it is lost somehow, and it is very far from our own experience. Because also it's difficult for me to think, for me as Italian and born in a Catholic church, not church, in a Catholic country, to think as motherhood, which is the pillar of this social organization and of the theory also that is built over that, as an experience of freedom. And I have to say that following and discussing with Jen, I have changed parts of my perspective because of the social experience of the gift. But still, I see feminism as born in this horrible West society, in a framework of individual rights theory, and which has somehow gone over its borders. Because we have started, if we look methodologically at our history, we have started saying there is no equality, we want to be included, right? Then we saw that this inclusion, this inclusion was in reality impossible, because our inclusion would have, as human beings with our own laws of thinking and of living, would have meant total dismantling of the system where we wanted to be included.
Yeah.
Because of because the patriarchal organic structure wouldn't allow us a real subjectivity in that system. We pulling one thread, we had to, all the system was somehow threatened, and so started also what happened is that from that point, we went back and started to find our ancestors in a feminine way. So we started looking back because we saw that we had to make a real intellectual revolution and we had to rethink the whole reality where we were in. So this was in a moment of openings. Somehow I think we took the system by surprise. So because the inclusion was perhaps foreseen, not all this dismantling. What happened, but where are we today? No? So I am wondering if we have continued this work of dismantling and how we can continue using these new discoveries of the past to live in the present and to work in the present, not only building experiences that put together these two times, these two frameworks, our present being women who actually started from going out from the stated roles. So the reason of my méfiance is that motherhood is tricky in this sense, because in one sense it's a stated destiny that we have to fulfill totally, and is requested to us, and today more than before, that we obey to the commandments of being good mothers. We are still the battlefield of all the religions. Islam, they are Islam, neoliberalism, because they need free work, non-paid work in times of crisis, and the Catholic Church are totally agreeing from their oppositional ideology that women have to be good givers, free givers, giving for free, and good mothers, in their own way, So today we are in a conjuncture where our own discoveries are turned against us, and we are in the middle. From one side, maternity is still a place of power, a place where we find ourselves, the origins of the relationship with the other. From the other side is a place where we are asked to be and to stay there, not move too much. The Pope, the encyclic of the Pope, now the Church is trying to extend its democraticity, saying feminists are the fantastic soul. They praise feminism, but the problem today is they praise feminism for the part that we emphasize and idealize maternity, until we don't go and live only for ourselves. The Pope writes in this last encyclics, it was not Pope yet, the real problem today is that women started to live for themselves. As if this discovery of a part of ourselves wanted to be free, also free, if it was needed from being obligatory mothers, was the real danger. So how can we continue this research for being free from the dictates, from what churches, neoliberalism, or patriarchy ask us to be? I think today we are in a critical edge, and we have to be aware that the femininization of the public space, which is going, the praise of the women is going together with a more using their work, more using our thinking, more using our giving for their own purposes. So how can we take back our giving for our own purposes? So this is a question, because I really, how many minutes? 10, okay. I really think that, for example, the Palin phenomenon, we have to think of some new events in the public space. The Palin, Sarah Palin, right?
Oh,
Sarah Palin, oh yeah, but she's the perfect symbol of emancipation, together with motherhood, 5 children, and she says, I'm real mother, do you remember? Like a bullpit defending its own covade or something like that. So she represents the combination of an imaginary of emancipation and of an imagery of motherhood. Of course, we don't agree, but it's very fascinating. And why it's very fascinating? Why a lot of people go after this imagination of this kind of motherhood? I think we have to really to carve our own image of motherhood, which can be combined with a clear distinction from these uses of our own thoughts. So I just make an hypothesis here. Strangely enough, I and my friends will laugh, because I always say, I have a son, but I'm not the typical mother. And I have enjoyed very much being a grandmother of false nephews, daughters of a friend of mine. So, because I was observing a certain, the beginning of a social relationship between mother and son or mother and daughter, you really see still the beginning of the formation of an individual, the formation of a man, the formation of a woman. So it was very fascinating. And at that time, during one of these things, I thought, really, patriarchy somehow is a structure, a mechanism of defense against a feeling of impotence that the little child feels towards the mother. And I mean, there is, in the beginnings of the 70s, that was already one of, and I remember when you, Barbara, said that, sometimes these fantasies of men remind me of a scared child, because, okay, there is an historical history of the overcome of the patriarchy, you know, the Kurgas, but if you look, if we look not only phylogenetically, but also in the development of the individual, we find the same mechanism. The little child is in front of the mother, as much as loved, is totally exposed, totally impotent, totally exposed to the other presence or non-presence, and totally passive, because in the beginning he cannot express any activity. So I observe so much this in this little, the way out from the terrible anguish of being passive, as Anders says, of being born and not made, is overcome only reversing the position, which is exactly what patriarchy has done. The passivity becomes activity. I am you, I do the things, I turn completely la frittata, we would say, the eggs, and I change the landscape in a way. I am the subject and you are my object. And this is what patriarchy has done towards women. They have put the big power that they saw in front of them in the position where they could at the same time have it always be nearby because of the need of the child of the mother. So if you are my wife, you are always there for me. And the fact that this early experience combines with sexuality was the end for us, right? So the men refined in this, changing the position, their own security, their own activity, and so they are relieved from the anguish of being exposed to the fact that a good mother, as good as she is, she can go away and let you alone and let you waiting, which is one of the most anguished experiences of people. So if we look at the story of patriarchy of the church, is exactly the same. They changed the story totally upside down. Now, they are the mothers, they are the providers, they are the people who give birth, and this is the last project of patriarchy, to give artificially birth, because it's the only thing where still they have not gone there. they usurpate, is in English? Usurp totally the attributes, the power of the mother. So the story is totally changed, totally overturned. And what we have started to do with our work is to put the story upside down and to say, oh, look, you know, there is a woman behind, there is a placenta behind, or there is domestic work behind, or when you die, who is taking care of? When you are angry, and this is perhaps, so this calls for me, and I think I have 2 minutes,
No.
that time, perhaps we should look, I was wondering, if our next step shouldn't be to look more deeper in a politics of fragility, instead than a politics of only revindicating the hidden power that has been cancelled. Because it is this power somehow that is so powerful that awakes such an anguish, and the response to this anguish has been patriarchy or individual patriarchy or violence. Now, in Italy, today, the violence against women is very simply killing, right? People, and then when you ask them, why did you kill her? There is a lot of killing, you know, in violence, not beating like it was before, it's killing. She wanted to leave me, candidly. She wanted to leave me. They kill the moment they are left alone. It's not an act of sadistic violence sometimes, but it's an act of not bearing abandonment. Imagine if all the women abandoned would do like that, killing them. Anyway, so I think this, and I'm